and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And today we are here to discuss the offseason. What the Panthers added, what we might have lost. And we know the offseason isn't quite over yet, but most of the major player movement, coaching, hires, all that stuff, it's done. We'll talk a little later in the podcast about maybe some things the Panthers could do to fill out the roster, but ultimately, I think we're in a good spot to talk about everything that's happened so far. Next week, we'll have a training camp preview.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to talk about what the Panthers have done so far and how we feel about the team right now.
Yeah, and training camp's right around the corner. I'm very excited. We actually finally get to do something besides just talk about the future. It'll actually start occurring. So, yeah, let's start it off. The future is now. Or, the future is in the future, and this is for this year and this year only.
Yes. And by the way, we already had to start this podcast once and stop, but Jerry did mention in our last podcast that you'll never hear that Jerry and I are going to training camp on August 2nd. So if you guys see us out there, stop by and say hey.
Yeah.
So we're ready to talk about it. We're going to start off talking about the coaching staff because it is quite different on the whole from what it was.
Huge overhaul. And quite a few
overhaul.
Positions I really like the improvement on.
I like almost every. In fact, I think I do like every coach now more than I liked the coach that was in place last year.
I feel like every coaching position has improved.
Yes.
But I wouldn't necessarily say...
You wouldn't say you liked them.
Yeah.
I like them better than I liked what was in place last year. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
Do I like this heart garbage trash? Or would I like a McDonald's cheeseburger? One's better.
None of them's very appetizing, but at least one is edible.
Exactly.
One of them's not going to kill you. All right. We'll start off with the biggest one. Offensive coordinator. Panthers get Ben McAdoo, former head coach, which is going to be a theme in these coaching hires. McAdoo was a very successful offensive coordinator with the Giants. Then became their head coach, was less successful as a head coach, but not terrible, honestly. He made some decisions that were not very highly regarded within New York.
Yeah, benching Eli Manning got him fired. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and it really was a stupid decision.
It really was. Geno Smith, really? Bad. He's good enough for Seattle, but come on. The Giants?
Yeah, Drew Lock is probably going to beat him out in Seattle. So that's Geno Smith. That's all you need to know. But yeah, I truly do believe that was probably the reason he was fired. On the field performance wasn't great either, but I think making that decision certainly helped him out the door. He has not, I don't think he's been an offensive coordinator. I think he's been like a special assistant.
Yeah, he really has been in the league. Those are,
yeah.
Nothing significant.
Yeah, but I do believe he is an upgrade over Joe Brady. He's certainly a veteran presence on the coaching staff that I think Matt Rule needed.
Absolutely. Matt Rule needs somebody to kind of let him know the NFL. I feel like that was one of Matt Rule's biggest issues. Besides not being an NFL coach, he needs somebody to guide him. Because I think his old way of doing things from the college wasn't working. And that's just from what I'm seeing on the field. A lot of his mistakes have been consistently going over and over again, like the time adjustments. Again, the first quarter, I felt like we led a lot of the games, but second quarter, there was no adjustments. A lot of the same penalties, bad red zone, stuff like that just never improved. And this was both years he's been here, not there. So getting that, veteran NFL coaching staff here, maybe they'll help. Hey, you need to start focusing in on this a little bit more.
Yeah, and I hope that Matt Rule is seeking that advice from those guys, and not only Ben McAdoo, but a couple other guys we'll be talking about here in a minute that have been former head coaches, have been in the league a long time. He would, if he's smart, and I think Matt Rule is smart. Sometimes
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think he's a very good. I don't think he's a very good football coach sometimes, but I think he is a smart guy, and I think he can learn. So I'm hoping that he is taking the good lessons from Ben McAdoo, because I think Ben McAdoo also has some very maybe not so great lessons that he could also teach. So I'm hoping that works out. But yeah, I like Ben McAdoo's system. Again, as an offensive coordinator with the Giants, he was very successful enough to get a head coaching job.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't know how different the offense is going to look from what it was with Joe Brady. I mean, ultimately, Matt Rule is an offensive coach, and I think a lot of the system is going to be Matt Rule's. But, it seems like he is giving McAdoo a lot of leeway with the offense. So, just based on what we've been hearing in press conferences and things like that. So, I like the hire. He wasn't at the top of either of our lists, but they could have made a worse decision. They really could have.
And not top of our list, but I mean, he may have been the top of the list that actually was willing to come. And that's what you have to really focus in. Matt Rule's on the hottest seat in the NFL. I don't see a coach hotter seat than his. So a lot of coaches would not want to come here. I mean, point blank, would you want to go to a job where it's probably one and done? Unless you get the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, if you had other options for more stable situations or newer head coaches coming in where you're going to have a couple of years, yeah, certainly. I think that had a lot to do with it. But as we'll see through some of these other coaches, they also got some really good, high quality guys. And we'll head on to the next one here. The offensive line coach, will keep it on offense. James Campin and Robert Cugler. We'll kind of focus on James Campin as he is the more senior and more highly respected of the two. Spent 15 years with the Packers and a decade as their offensive line coach. This was a position that, as every Panthers fan knows, or a position group, I should say, as every Panther fan knows, was a disaster last year.
I absolutely love Campin, his hire. I think I would have been very excited even year one or not. I'm actually scared that if the season goes bad, we're going to lose him, because I have a feeling he's going to greatly improve this offensive line. Even if it's doesn't translate to a lot more wins, I think we'll be able to see it. Yes, there's a lot more players, which we'll get into. But man, having that veteran guy that has put together good offensive lines in the past, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Pat Meyer, who was the offensive line coach, is he with the Steelers now, right?
I'm not sure.
I think that's where he is. But yeah, it was just and I don't know if you put all of Pat Meyer. The personnel was
personnel bad. Yeah.
Pretty bad. But getting new personnel in here, higher quality guys, and a guy like Campin, who again is very widely respected, had a lot of success in Green Bay. Just a win-win.
Yeah. And's worked with Baker Mayfield, so he may know some of his verbiage already.
That is true. Yep. Moving on over to the defense. A couple of really good hires here. Paul Pasqualoni and Steve Wilkes back as a Panthers coach. That's a D-line and secondary coaches, respectively. Really like the Steve Wilkes hire. I thought that was pretty inspired. Again, another former head coach with Arizona, of course, a former defensive coach with the Panthers, coordinator, and I believe he was also the secondary coach before he was the
he went secondary coach to defensive coordinator, and then 1 year at defensive coordinator, got the head coach job at Arizona. I like the hire. I do worry a little bit that he was more of a zone scheme guy, and this is more, it seems like more of a man coverage guy, but he's a great coach, and I don't doubt he's going to improve those guys, and they were already good last year, so
they were. And again, we're going to get into the players here in a minute, but that, that position is not quite as deep as it was last year, especially after the Gilmore trade. But I think at the top end, it's still very, very good. Horn and Jackson are very good players. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think Steve Wilkes is probably going to be able to, alter his scheme to the talent, because we know that Horn is a man-to-man guy, right? I mean, that's where he excels. So, and I think he's our number one corner. I think he's better than Dante. So I would expect to see more man-to-man, but a D-line coach, he's gonna have his work cut out for him, Pasqualoni is, because this D-line is not as talented as it was last year, in my opinion. I think it's the one part of the team that is less talented. Would you agree?
I would say the defense overall is less talented. I mean, that may be jumping out on, but secondary. I mean, let's go into it. Our departures here. There's no more coaches that we had. Right?
There is. There's special teams.
Oh, sorry. I'll let
Chris
you.
Tabor.
And
Chris
I like
Tabor.
that.
So, excellent coach. With the Bears for a long time, replacing Chase Blackburn, who neither of us could even believe that he was retained after Ron Rivera left. I mean, that was insane. And the special teams was never good under Chase Blackburn. No. Not with Rivera, not with Rule.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. I'm glad. I hate saying I'm glad he's gone, but I'm glad he's gone. Like, I hate people losing their job and everything, but he wasn't a good offensive coordinator or special teams coordinator. At least here, Tabor has pedigree of having good returners and everything, good special teams. He, in fact, brought in Audrey Roberts right away. Good. Yeah. We have a return man. That's it.
Yep. And again, we'll get to him in a minute. That I believe are, let's see, I see wide receiver and tight end. Oh yeah, Kevin Gilbride and Joe Daly as tight end and wide receivers coaches. I'm telling you, like, almost every coach outside of Phil Snow was changed. So again, tight end coach, I like bringing in new blood there because the tight ends have just been, frankly, awful for a long time. And I know we don't have the highest talent. You like Ian Thomas a little more than I do, but bringing in a new coach maybe unlocks some of these guys. Wide receiver coach, not too big of a.
And Ben McAdoo will utilize the tight end a lot more than Joe Brady. Joe Brady just seemed to not really utilize him at all, except for blocking. So, and I think we're going to see a lot more of Ian Thomas and Trimble. Mm-hmm. Because of that, I think we're going to see a lot more.
Better or worse?
Yeah, 2 tight end sets. I think both of those guys are going to, how could I say, pleasantly surprise you. They're not going to like, oh my God, Darren Waller, but I think they're going to.
I have high hopes for Trimble. Ian Thomas, I'm out on. I'm shocked that Ian Thomas is still on this team. He has done nothing.
I am shocked at the price tag they gave him.
Yeah. Well, that's another. Yeah. Between being on the team and the price tag kind of go together for me. I just can't. I didn't understand the signing. I didn't understand the money. I'd have been fine seeing him go and then just lean on Trimble, let him learn as he goes, or draft a guy. There were some guys in the draft we talked about, but so those are the coaching changes. Overall, as I said, personally, before we started this, I like the head coach or the coaching staff quite a bit more than I liked it last year. There's more talent. There's more head coaching experience. There's more coaching experience, period. And it honestly, like, if Matt Rule can't succeed with these guys behind him, he's not going to succeed in the NFL.
No. And that's kind of where we're sitting at just in general with him. I mean, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah. All right. You want to get over to the acquisitions and departures from the player side? Yeah.
We're not going to go over everyone, just more or less the big names. Notable departures: Cam Newton, not returning. I think that's pretty solid at this point. Guard, John Miller, gone. Okay, bye. Matt
Aye.
Paradis, gone. Bye.
Aye.
Daquan Jones, I thought he played well, but
I did
I
too.
liked
But
the additions that we made. So
it,
I'm not going to
it
say
was a
bye.
1 year deal as well for him.
Yeah.
We kind of expected that he probably wasn't going to stick around. Although I did like the way he played. I thought he played well.
Yeah. AJ Boye couldn't stay healthy, wasn't really a factor in this team, it felt like.
Yeah, he's still out there.
Yeah.
He's still out there.
Stefan Gilmore, as much as I was really excited for him to come here, he didn't play much here.
He go ahead.
He came in late, and this coaching staff, Phil Snow, just didn't seem to really want to put him out there as much as you and I kept complaining during the season of, you just made this trade. He's probably one of the better in the league. Why are you not playing him? Why are you put him in man? It's not hard for him to understand man, but
yeah, I mean it was a few weeks before he even got on the field, and then it was just spot duty for the first few weeks, and then by the end of the season by the end of the season he was still really only playing like 40-50% of the snaps, it seemed like. So still made the Pro Bowl. I don't really understand that. But he did. It's name recognition, I guess. But yeah, he's gone to the Colts. And there was, of course, a big and maybe we can talk about this when we talk about additions, but with Panthers fans at least, there was a big, I wouldn't say fight, but discussion of who they should keep, Gilmore or Dante. And the money is about the same.
And Gilmore, to be fair, he played well in those 40% snaps. He did not play bad.
Played real well.
And then we're going to go to our biggest offseason departure, the one that kind of really stings the defense, Hassan Reddick. I mean, him and Brian Burns, I felt like they, especially jumping out of the gate, they were just lightning in a bottle. And then,
that's a tough one. Yeah, he provided Burns with something that he has not had, which was, a legitimate force on the other side of the line to free up Burns a little bit. Both of them played really well. They both excelled. The defense overall, I thought, it was the number 2 defense in the league, depending on which metric you look at. But, the fact that any metric said that we were the number 2 defense in the league, I think is a credit to Hassan Reddick, Brian Burns getting to the quarterback quickly, forcing some bad throws, getting a lot of sacks. I mean, it's a big departure. It really is. And that's kind of the main reason I say between him and Daquan Jones, why the defensive line is just in a kind of a worse position.
Yeah. It just really kind of saddened me that we couldn't bring him back. Like you said, it was just a good tandem 1-2. I know it was a 1-year deal. Surprised they didn't make more of a push to bring him back, to be honest with you. It didn't seem like they made any push.
Well, and his deal is not terrible. 3 years, $45 million, $15 million a year. The way they did the cap, the Eagles, like he's only a $4 million hit this year and a $6 million hit next year. Like it's really well done. Panthers could have done that.
Yeah.
They could have plenty of cap space. I really don't get it. I don't understand why they let him go.
They had to sign some of these other players here. Let's go into the signings here. Running back Deontay Foreman was signed.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that change of pace back. DJ Moore was re-signed or signed an extension, thankfully.
Yeah. Big signing there. Something that you and I had been begging for since they re-signed or since they extended Robbie Anderson. We thought that money should have gone to DJ. And in hindsight, it should have. But yeah, love the DJ Moore signing. Glad that he's going to stick around.
Yeah. Punter Johnny Hecker.
Another we have a signing, punter, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, good.
Formerly number 6.
Linebacker Davian Wilson, if he's still on the team after his arrest.
Yeah, I think he is.
He's on the team right now, but you never know.
Yeah.
Like, if he
Yeah.
does anything wrong, he could be gone. Corey Littleton, linebacker. I mean, I like that signing. Good depth.
Good depth.
Matt Ioannidis, defensive tackle, trying to separate for replace Daquan Jones. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's I think he's a little long in the tooth, but he's been around for a while, and I don't think that DT spot is going to fall off that much.
No, I don't either. They re-signed Dante Jackson after letting him test the free market. And this is where you were talking about Stefan Gilmore. There were some people. Dante is not Stefan Gilmore. That being said, I get that they wanted to go younger. They felt like JC Horn's going to be their guy. And Dante's a good number 2, in my opinion. And he got paid pretty much like that, too. He wasn't.
Yeah, he's not getting $20 million a year. He's not considered one of the top 5 corners in the league, but I think he's getting what he's worth. The deal was like $11 million a year or something. It's less than he wanted.
Yeah.
In the free market. So the market spoke, and I'm glad that he's back. Again, he's a homegrown guy. So, we lost Bradbury. Seems like we always lose the homegrown guys, but he's going to stick around.
Yeah. And let's be real. Before his injury, he was playing pretty well too.
He was playing really well. Yeah.
So hopefully he can return to that shape, and with JC Horn, it could be a nice one. And safety, Xavier Woods, signed. Love it, because besides Jeremy Chin, there's been no safety help.
Yeah.
Justin Burris, I will discuss later on, but I don't think he's a starting caliber safety. I think he's more of a backup.
Yeah. I think he showed that last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Bradley Bozeman, center, finally building that offensive line, and guard Austin Corbett. I saved those 2 for last because I felt like those are going to help make a big impact.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about adding them to Taylor Moton, already one of the top right tackles in the league, I guess we're going to have Brady Christensen at left guard, which he did not play very well at last year, but he's going to be surrounded by much higher talent. And as we'll get to when we talk about the draft, Icky at left tackle, massive upgrade, we presume, over the guys that were there last year. And then we still have, the depth that we signed on day 1 of free agency last year. So, which
and
again,
that's fine.
Get into here in a minute. Yeah.
And I forgot to mention Baker Mayfield. Obviously, we've talked about it last episode. Baker Mayfield Look, we went from a backup quarterback to, and maybe not even a backup quality quarterback at, now we have a quality starter. That's, I think he's an actual NFL caliber starter. I could say that compared to Sam Darnold.
Yeah, whatever you think about Baker Mayfield, like he is an NFL quarterback. Like he will be an NFL quarterback for a long time. Sam Darnold, I think where would you rank Sam Darnold among backup quarterbacks?
See, that's a problem with me because I don't know, because Sam Darnold has an NFL arm, NFL physical traits.
Yeah.
But I saw someone post, he has a USFL mind. And I 100% agree with that. I forget someone on Twitter, and I apologize, whoever posted that. I don't know who you are right now off the top of my head. That's a perfect example of what Sam Darnold is. He can't mentally stay focused. He can't mentally deal with it. He sees ghosts. He just can't do it. And he has the arm talent, his arm and everything else. He has the physical traits of a great NFL quarterback. He can't put it all together. So, if
the Panthers kept Sam Darnold on the roster next year. Signed him to like a 2-year, $10 million quarterback or contract to be the backup. Like that's his role as the backup. How would you feel about that?
I would say 5 million's still too much for him, in my opinion. But because
Well,
you could
I
get
think he would be one of the higher quality backups.
I don't know. I really don't know because he goes those games where you're just I remember sitting in the end zone and him literally just throwing it straight at the opposing player
Yeah.
while his guy was wide open. It was like, what are you doing? I mean, I know
Well,
you're
again,
under
we're talking
duress.
about backups. PJ Walker, straight out of the XFL to a backup quarterback. Like it feels like once you're past the starters, it's the Wild West in terms of backup quarterbacks.
You're right.
You got guys that are. I mean, Matt Schaub was a backup quarterback till he was like 45 years old or something. I mean, these guys they're all over the place. They're either super young rookies or they're journeymen that have been on 12 teams, and we saw Fitzpatrick on a new team every year for a long time. So yeah, I mean, but we digress. Baker Mayfield, the new quarterback. I like it. He had a press conference. He and Scott Fitter had a press conference. It was Tuesday, I believe. Either yesterday or Tuesday, Wednesday or Tuesday. Fitter again reiterated that it was a competition. Blah blah blah. Don't know who believes that, but Baker seemed excited to be here. He talked a little bit about the decision to drop the money, so he could come here. He's took the high road. He did not badmouth Cleveland at all. He seemed like an adult to me, the way he was speaking. And honestly, he's always kind of seemed like that to me. So, again, when you go through the list of the acquisitions, Baker, upgrade. Deontay Foreman over Chuba, upgrade.
Well, I think Chuba's going to play too. I think Chuba's going to spell Christian McCaffrey. I think Deontay is more of a power back. And I think that all three will get playing time. I think they're going to lighten Christian McCaffrey's role. And I think short yardage is going to go Deontay and occasional, other plays. But I think the other spell is Chuba's. Chuba played well, in my opinion, with a bad offensive line, no passing game to help him stretch the field. So
you're right. I mean, and when you look at Chuba's stats, like they look pretty good.
Yeah.
He just never looked good on the field to me. I just never.
It was because he was always getting hit behind the line, and he's getting 2-3 yards, which should have been a -1. And that's kind of the thing. And he never broke out. He's not Christian McCaffrey by any stretch.
You are. But, and just go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think that's one of our Panther problems is we see the running back position. We've had Stephen Davis. We had D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart. We've had these great running backs. We've never really had bad running backs.
Right. Yeah, and I wouldn't say Chuba's a bad running back. I don't think you are either. But, with Christian McCaffrey going out, there's a noticeable drop-off. Again, because Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the league. So, but okay, so Deontay Foreman, not really a exact match for Chuba, but Corbett, upgrade. Bozeman, upgrade. Xavier Woods, upgrade. Johnny Hecker, upgrade. Ioannidis, push maybe. Yeah. And then you got some, Corey Littleton, Davian Wilson are kind of backups. Dante Jackson is a re-sign. DJ Moore's a re-sign. So overall, upgrades, right? They did a good job.
For the most part.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really replace Hassan Reddick. But outside of him, if you look at those departures, they matched, they upgraded at every position, in my opinion. So good job on the free agency front. And still plenty of money left.
Yeah. Plenty of money. And let's go ahead and talk about that.
I'm going to hit the draft real quick.
Oh, I forgot to hit the draft. Damn it.
Yeah, so we'll talk just real quick. I mean, of course, we did draft recaps aplenty, but that is part of the offseason. So we're going to quickly hit on the draft picks again. Of course, we kind of mentioned Icky a little earlier, but in my opinion, a massive upgrade on that left tackle position. Really good run blocker already, and we hope he, kind of evolves into a top tier pass blocker as well. All right, Matt Corral, drafted in the 3rd round, not number 94 overall. QB of the future? Question mark.
That's a big question mark. Depends how this season goes, who the new head coach is. If it doesn't go well, I mean, it's a big question. I really like Matt Corral. I love his accuracy. I love his mobility. I personally really liked him. I saw him as a high 2nd round pick.
A lot of people thought he would sneak into the 1st round.
So I really like the pick. I hope if things don't go well, I hope to see him this season. I mean,
had the Panthers drafted Matt Corral at number 6,
I'd have been upset.
Yeah, we would have felt like it was a reach, but I don't think it would have been like incredibly shocking. I don't think it would have been like, oh, everybody would have been, what a stupid thing. Like maybe we would have felt that way, but I don't think, there was talk that could happen. That was out there.
I remember when I first started doing our draft profiles, I had 3 quarterbacks on the board with Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, and Matt Corral. And I was like, these are the 3 that supposedly the Panthers really like and are going to look into. And Matt Corral was one.
Was. Just real quick to finish up, Brandon Smith in the 4th round. Yep, linebacker. Again, that's a spot that we really needed to add some depth, and we really did between the free agency and the draft. So Amare Barno in the 5th round. No, 4th round, right? Or 5th round. You said 5th round. 5th round. Again, a guy that's got a lot of elite traits. Needs to put them all together, but we like him. Cade Mays kind of felt like a steal at guard in the 6th round. Like I could easily see him starting games if Brady doesn't play well. I could easily see it.
Yeah.
I like Cade Mays a lot.
Or Deontay Brown, and then Corbett maybe slide over to left guard. Not really sure how they're going to play that, but that's what training camp's for. Yeah,
we'll see. But I think Cade Mays, like, it would not surprise me if he came out of camp as the starter. It just would not surprise me.
The problem is, everything I read about him is looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. That's all. That's what I kept hearing.
I haven't heard that. Yeah.
But he looks great. He should be a great guard, but physical, everything, but he just doesn't seem to put it together. Kind of like the Sam Darnold, except for a guard. So we'll see. But a 6th round pick, great grab.
I don't like the Sam Darnold comparison, but
well, he's also a rookie, which hasn't had NFL coaching. He had Tennessee coaching in. Well,
put a thorn in his paw, and he'll get angry. And then finally, Kalen Barnes, corner, as a last pick. Ridiculous speed. Probably a practice squad guy if I had to guess. But again, not a ton of depth at CB, so he could easily make the team.
Okay. You say that. I think the cornerback position is actually pretty solid. You have Dante and J.C. Horn as your starters. You're going to have C.J. Henderson, who they trade around a 3rd round pick and was a top 10 pick 2 years ago, as your 3rd. You had Keith Taylor, who played really well. Rashawn Melvin is still on the team. Rashawn Melvin's still on the team, and he plays well. He's been a starter in the league before. So, yeah, Kalen Barnes is there. There could be, like, bottom tier guys, but I don't see any of those other guys really kind of moving unless they bring in.
I could see, like, Stanley Thomas Oliver not making the team.
I can too.
See, Miles Hartsfield not making the team. I could see Rashawn Melvin not making the team. Like I could see these, I could see a spot for him if he plays well in camp. Um, CJ Henderson, that was one, I know that wasn't an off-season acquisition, but that's a guy that we brought in via trade during the middle of last season. And disappointing to me because I was
me.
hoping to see something from him. Didn't really see anything. What do you expect from him this season? Or what do you hope to see from him this season?
I hope to see progress because I felt like last year he seemed kind of still like a fish out of water. I think we traded for him like week 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
And he just seemed to never really jump on or grab. And I think this whole offseason, being in the same Fieldstone, I'm hoping he takes a step up. I mean, the Panthers really looked at him when they drafted, oh God, who did we draft that year? The year before. No, before J.C. Horn, Derek Brown. Derek Brown fell to us and they grabbed him. But otherwise, C.J. Henderson really was being looked at by this organization and they really liked him. So I'm hoping that he comes out, lights a fire, and I hope we have a top 3 corners that are just stalwarts. And they can be. I think, again, Dante Jackson I don't see as being a lockdown corner number 1 guy. But I think if you put him at number 2 or CJ Henderson at number 2 and they lock him down, I think there's a lot of potential of being a great secondary here.
Yeah, I mean, CJ Henderson, he only had 1 season in Jacksonville. I think he was a little hurt or something. He just didn't play a ton. And then last season with us, he still didn't play much, even with us. And when he was out there, he got beat a lot.
Yeah.
He really did. So hopefully they can do something. But again, top 10 pick just 2 years ago. So he's still very young, still pretty raw. We'll see what Steve Wilkes can do with him. But all right. So you want to kind of look at the position groups and see where the Panthers still need to do some work?
We could quickly kind of do that. I mean, we are at almost 40 minutes right now, so.
That's okay. It won't take long. All right, so let's look at receiver. Like, I feel like they could still make an addition at receiver. But then I go look at the free agent list. And like Beckham, obviously, they're not bringing in Beckham. Will Fuller is out there, but is Will Fuller any different than Robbie Anderson? Just like a less reliable, health-wise version of Robbie Anderson?
I personally feel like you roll with this group. They brought in Rashard Higgins. I'm not the biggest fan of Rashard Higgins. I think they're looking at Terrace Marshall to take that step up. DJ Moore.
They hope he will. Yeah.
Stud. Robbie Anderson, they hope he, falls back. And I like Brandon Zylstra, good guy in the locker room.
Yeah,
and then you're going to have Audrey Roberts. He's going to be there for a return man. And then you're going to have C.J. Saunders, Shi Smith, Keith Kirkwood. Those guys and those undrafted free agent guys, they're going to be fighting it out for the last little roster spots.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them bring in somebody, that could. I just don't. I don't love Robbie Anderson as our number 2. If
they signed Marshall. They can't do anything without him.
I know. I'm just saying I don't love him as our number 2.
I'm hoping Terrace Marshall unseats him.
I would love. I mean, that nothing would make me happier because Terrace Marshall was a pretty huge disappointment last season when he got playing.
He looks so good in preseason too. But again, new offensive coordinator. We'll see if maybe he develops better under that, because Joe Brady during the season just went away, didn't even look his way, and then Sam Darnold didn't look his way either. So,
yeah, true. Just looking at the offensive line, I mean, obviously they've done a ton of work on the offensive line. I don't really see any huge holes, at least with the starters. Obviously, they can still add depth if they want to, but they're not going to sign any of the top guys left as depth.
Cam Irving, Michael Jordan, Pat Elflein, Dennis Daly. All of those guys had significant starts last year. A lot of starts. Yeah. So if they're the backups,
but they weren't very good.
No, but they at least, as backups, you could be like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, experience does not equal quality, So if they wanted to, I'm just saying, if they wanted to add some depth there, it would not hurt my feelings. That's all I'm saying.
Tight end, Ian
Tight
Thomas.
end, yeah.
They put a lot of money into for some reason. Tommy Trimble was a nice pickup last year during the draft. And then Colin Thompson, good special teamer guy, good blocker. And
Good
Steven
podcaster.
Sullivan is a project. I could see them maybe bringing in another tight end, more of a.
There's nobody out there on the free agent list, so it would have to be somebody that got cut or.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think that this is our, like, even as much as I'd love to upgrade this position, I think that time has passed. QB, I mean, they've done what they're going to do at QB. Running back, I feel good about that group as well.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the defense, we talked about the defensive line, edge rusher particularly. There are some pretty high quality edge rushers out there. That, as free agents still.
Right now it's Brian Burns and Gross Matos starting on at end. Marquis Haynes, Barno, who's lightning fast. They looked at Carlos Dunlap. I like him. I wouldn't mind bringing him in.
And apparently, just real quick, Fitterer said that they're, if the money works out, that he is still very much a possibility to sign.
So I think him, Trey Flowers, I wouldn't mind, even though he hasn't played past couple of years due to injury, but he still has that, he's 29 years old, has that ability to play.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind bringing him in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love a 1-year flyer. I'd love it. I mean, that'd be a good one. JPP's out there. He's getting a little older. Not sure why he's still a free agent. Carl Nassib, Tack McKinley, so you're starting to get sort of in that range of guy. We're in July already, so there's not going to be those super high end guys. But Trey Flowers or Carlos Dunlap, I could easily see happening. I do think that is a spot that should be addressed before.
Bringing a veteran guy who's done it before in case Gross Matos and Marquis Haynes, that they can't really provide that spark.
Yeah.
Even if it's spot duty, I'm fine bringing out a guy, 25% of the downs that are, passing downs. If you could get to it there, go for it.
Yeah, agreed. And then, defensive tackle, Derek Brown, Ioannidis. I feel good about the starters, Davian Nixon and Bravion Roy.
And they love Davion Nixon from what I've heard. So, and we love that draft pick last year.
So, yeah.
And Snacks Hoskins. Good nickname.
Snacks Hoskins. Yeah, Snacks. So, yeah, I mean, they're probably not going to make any moves there. Didn't see anybody that was super exciting to me on the free agent list either. So, Sheldon Richardson, I guess, a potential guy, but I feel like he doesn't really improve.
I was going to say Sheldon Richardson would improve, but I don't think the money is going to be right, and he's not going to want to come as a rotational guy. I don't see.
And again, we got to think, some of these guys, some of these bigger names that are out there, are they going to want to come to the Panthers? Where ESPN ranked us 32nd in the power rankings,
which is a BS ranking. Come on,
complete BS. I don't get that at all. But that these guys read that stuff. So. Linebacker, I feel okay about our linebackers, but we could be starting Frankie Luvu, who we love, Frankie Luvu. Don't know if I love him as a starting linebacker though.
Shaq Thompson, Davian Wilson, and Frankie Luvu are penciled in starters. Corey Littleton, Brandon Smith, and Julian Stanford. This is where I think we need to improve. I like Frankie Luvu. I like Shaq Thompson. I love Brandon Smith pick, but he's raw. Corey Littleton, I like that pickup. But I feel like I just named 4 or 5 guys that are backups right now.
Yeah.
Minus Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson's the only guy, linebacker on this team that I could look at and be like, you're starter right away on most
Legit
teams.
Starter. Yeah.
So bringing in like an Anthony Barr, someone like that, maybe something that I would like to see. I know we play a lot of, 4-2-6 defense, but I mean, I feel like they need to improve that area a little bit more.
Yeah,
Since
I
they
mean,
don't
Jamie
want to
Collins is
drop.
out there, Dante Hightower's out there. Um, there are some quality veterans who are on the other side of their prime that you could bring in as leadership and depth.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want a starter here. I feel like Wilson, he hasn't played well. I like
Yeah,
went back and kind of watched some of his tape and watched, looked at his PFF grades and stuff.
yeah,
He doesn't look good what I saw. At least
yeah,
Frankie Louvu last year, every time he came out, like run plays, getting to the quarterback,
yeah,
he jumped out like, okay, this guy might have something.
yeah. And let me just be very clear before we start getting comments about how much I hate Frankie Louvu. I do not hate Frankie Louvu. I love
No.
Frankie Louvu. I just wonder if Frankie Louvu is better as an energy guy off the bench,
Yeah,
and not a starter.
I
Because
agree.
there are guys like that. Real quick, safety. I think we have addressed safety pretty well. Again, if they want to add depth, I'm fine with that. Corner.
It's just quick question: is Justin Burris still on this team? I thought he was a
he
free
is
agent.
he is still listed on the depth chart.
Oh, okay. That was my question because I wouldn't mind maybe looking at another safety. Just I still think Jeremy Chin should go down into the box more. I think that he's such more of a dynamic player as a linebacker. But I digress.
I agree, and I hope that we see him more in more versatile spots. But corner, we talked about corner kind of exhaustively. And then you look at special teams. I mean, I feel really good about our special teams, honestly. I mean, Johnny Hecker, huge upgraded punter. Zane Gonzalez, we fell in love with last year.
Yeah, hopefully he looks as good as he did last year. I do think they need to bring in a kicker during the training camp for just slight competition and to rest his leg.
Yeah, most teams do. And
Yeah.
I'm sure the Panthers will. And then Audrey Roberts talked about, really nice upgraded return man, something the Panthers have not had in a long time.
He's listed at a wide receiver, but let's be real. He's a return man. That's his job. That's why he's been in the NFL for as long as he has, and he knows it, and he's good at it.
Yep. Okay. Anything else you want to hit before we sign off?
No, not really. I'm really worried about that linebacker core. That's just me. I like linebackers, I guess, a little bit more, but it feels really weak to me. I feel like I said Shaq Thompson is the only starter. I have really high hopes for Brandon Smith. I really like him, but I hope we don't have to rush him out there.
Yeah. So I mean,
he's a fifth round pick. He's not.
What can we expect from him this season? I think temper our expectations, right?
Yeah.
But in the future, we hope he develops into something for sure. He's got elite traits. He's just got to put everything together.
Correct. I feel like he's got to get a little bit nastier because his biggest weakness is stuffing the run. He's better at pass defense, but he has the physical traits to be able to be a great run stuffer. He just needs to learn how to get his nose in there and knock him out. Easier said than done, as I would be probably.
Of course. Again, we are not professional football, but we're trying to be the voice of the fans here. So
yeah.
But all right, I think that's going to do it.
All right, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show.
We'll be back next week to talk training camp. We're going to preview training camp and give some thoughts and predictions and hopes and dreams. So until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.